a little bit different, and that's because I am onboarding one of my clients who does over $150,000 every single month at 8,500 feet in the air in my brand new airplane. So before we dive into the onboarding video, let me give you a little bit of context. My client Travis runs an SEO agency for moving companies, and he's doing very well. He's making over $1 million every single year doing this, and his lifetime value for these moving companies is anywhere from 1 to 1.5 years. So actually, unlike a lot of my typical clients, Travis's issue at scale was not that he couldn't acquire new clients. He had a great offer, he was pricing it really well, and he had new people coming to him pretty consistently. The issue that Travis has, and this is typically what happens when you're trying to scale a service-based business, I've done it myself, is that he actually couldn't scale because of hiring, because of talents. He was doing a lot of one-on-one custom work for these companies, and he needed to be able to hire new SEO managers, SEO blog writers, and script writers so that they can fulfill more work for more clients. The issue with the process that he was doing previously was that he was doing all of the work himself. He was literally the bottleneck in his company's growth. And he was doing job postings, and then when he got on a job posting, he would message the right people, he'd get on the interviews, see if they were qualified, do another interview, and it would take anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks of every single interview they had before they'd find the right candidate. And what I showed him was how I built a process really similar to acquiring new clients in order to acquire new talent and employees for your company that uses traffic from application and job sites, a hiring video sales letter that educates them and warms them up, and then filters through everybody using automations and systems so that you're only speaking to the top 1% of your applicants, and then how we systemize even the onboarding and ramping of that so he could do it at scale. Just to give you an update, I talked to Travis the other day, and he said that literally he's doing about 1/10 the amount of work that he was doing before in his hiring process, and he's thus able to scale much easier. So this is our exact hiring process from A to Z on how we scale talent acquisition. Check it out.
We'll definitely have to talk about that because at scale, you're not going to want to be doing onboarding. And
no,
interviews,
I don't want to do it right now.
But like you said, just right now, it's a mixture of how do we build systems that scale with us, and how do we also have band-aid fixes so that we can still run business next month, right?
Sure.
So here are the first few thoughts that I have for you. So let me give you a little background. In 2020, we onboarded 35 sales reps in about 4 months, okay? All without having to hire more sales team leaders. I didn't have to get on more calls. Nothing of my day-to-day or anybody's day-to-day changed, maybe 5% or 10%. And one of the ways we did that is we created, just the same way you're acquiring customers, we created a hiring acquisition system. So the thing that you should be doing is having either you, realistically a virtual assistant, setting an application to every single one of these people.
Got it.
So we create a long form job form. Inside that job form, I wrote down some notes here because what we did with a few other people. You ask a bunch of questions. Name, email, phone number, what's the time zone that you're currently on, how much work are you looking for, how soon can you get started. Then, once we filter through the basic stuff that you're asking them, we do a few test questions. So not only is having the application good to get more information, but just the step of adding a little bit more friction of saying, hey, by the way, we're hiring this week, but we do not read any applications here. You have to apply on this website here.
Right.
We'll get out any of the window shoppers or people that are doing the same 50 applications as everybody else. With me so far? Yep. Okay, so on the application, we ask all the questions that we need to ask, but then we get into, hey, in 400 words or less, type in why SEO is important for websites.
Got it.
Then what we do is inside the application, like we use something called job form. Inside of job form, you can make it that they don't even get to be redirected to the next page if they typed in something that the characters were more than 500 words. Or characters. So if they're trying to be an SEO writer and they can't even figure out how to write something that's 400, 500 characters, we automatically don't even have that person go to the next page. Right? So before the filter process of you even getting on the first interview, we want to filter through as many people as humanly possible.
Okay, right?
Because the other thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to be increasing the amount of traffic quite a bit. So like the point of this funnel is that we actually want to be sending a lot of people through the funnel, but we want to make it so that it doesn't increase the burden on the back end of how many interviews you have on. If you're getting on the 50 interviews a week, it's not really any useful for us, right? But if we can have a filtration process where we're increasing the amount of people we're getting eyeballs for the application, but we're doing even less interviews with more quality people, and that's consistent, then now you have a hiring system. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's an acquisition system for people.
Literally for people, for hiring. We have it for sales reps. We have it for almost everybody, right? So, okay, so application. Hey,
You're always hiring.
Always.
Okay.
What my mentor tells me is like, the only thing keeping you from achieving all the dreams you want to inside your business is one good hire. Right? You're one good hire away. And I know that when I was at your stage, I mean, I was at 150 a month with just a virtual assistant and myself. That was it.
Wow, I don't understand.
I was doing much less. I was doing Facebook ads, so I didn't have to do so much. I mean, dude, it took me 10 minutes to onboard a client, and it took me 3 minutes to manage them. Okay, yeah, right. So it's not a big deal. Anyway, the point being that I do recognize where you're at right now and kind of what the mindset is concerned. But damn, if you can get a really quality, talented person, and not just to build this out, but then it's important that we build this out. But then handing this off to somebody else is going to be really critical as well. Even if you paid someone $6,000 a month, which I know is a lot of money, $8,000 a month, but they took this entire process and they're bringing you fucking A+ SEO people, that would be worth it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Okay, cool. So app to the job form, hey, fill this out. Job form, then what will happen is you ask questions, and then you can do it a few different ways, right? If you were literally looking to onboard and ramp people every single week, one of the things that we did with salespeople is we literally hosted a webinar, right? And then the webinar, actually we'll do one more step before this. So this is an alternate option that you can do here. Job site, and then you have them go to a VSL, and the VSL takes them to an application. So if you want to have them, before they even apply, understand who you are, who you help, what makes you guys different, what the onboarding process looks like, what the onboarding time looks like, what the pay is going to look like. You can have them watch a 10 to 15 minute VSL, and then they apply after they watch the VSL. So by the time they get on the first interview with you, they already have a rough idea about who you are, and it's a little less about, hey, we help moving companies, that's how we do it, and it's a little more about like, let's talk about specific things that we need to talk about in this call. Okay, make sense? Yep. I mean, if I could have every single person, imagine how easy your life would be. It's going to sound cocky. If every person in the world knew who you were and everything you did, how much easier would life be? Right? You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to explain that to people.
I don't explain all this stuff, right? Okay.
Okay, so VSL, literally 5 to 10 minutes with an application, but below it, application filters out people. Now, you once again have two options here. Number one is if they apply, if they qualify on the application, then we can have them automatically redirect to one of two things. Number one, it's just like interview Calendly, and that's just a one-on-one interview with you. Number two,
should be good now.
Handwriting is terrible.
Horrible.
Number two is going to be a webinar, right?
Okay.
Where you host a weekly or monthly webinar where you have 10 to 20 SEO people get on one call with you at the same time.
Got it.
So if I was trying to hire really, really fast, I would do this. If I was trying to do a little bit more quality, I don't mind a little more time, I would do the one-on-one interview. Okay? You with me so far?
So far.
Alternative option as well. At the end of the application, you can even redirect them to a problem, like an example problem, whatever else it is, and they have to do that before they're even hopping on the first interview.
Got it.
Okay? Because it's really important that we want to really save your time. Your time is so valuable, so we want to make sure that these people can follow directions and they at least know something about SEO and they know something about our company, and they're even willing to invest all that time to do all that before I'm going to get on a call with them. You with me so far?
Yep.
Cool. All right, so okay. So now once we're doing the webinar, you're on the interview. Now, how you do the interview process, interview 1, interview 2, interview 3, I bet you, if you do it this way, you could probably cut it down to one or two interviews.
One or two, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So instantly we're already going to do it. I would definitely have steps in between the first and second interview. Right? Meaning that end of the first interview, so I would have all of this is written out in a document so that somebody else comes in, they can take this over from you. On the first interview, you have like a Google Doc with 10 interviews you've done in the past and every interview you do so they can look at that. And then interview, you follow a checklist. Introduction, cool. Test their knowledge, cool. And then at the end of the interview 1, I would give them a more difficult question or problem to solve that then you would be reviewing on interview 2. Because I realistically don't know what would be why couldn't you just hire that person on interview 1, right? If realistically, you get everything you need to do on interview 1, unless it was an aptitude test, which I would then test like taking them to interview 2.
Okay.
You with me so far?
Yep.
So interview 1, awesome. Everybody has this test. I want you to actually write out this blog post. How would you take this client? They're in this city. How would you take them to number 1 at Google, or the next 30 days, whatever else it is. Okay. So I'm just gonna put test here. Cool. And then interview 2. Once again, there are ways that I would do the test. Once they submit the test, I would have that then, the test would be on a jot form. I would have them then redirect, once they submitted it, to an interview 2 calendar. Okay, makes sense? Okay, so you're really, so far in this process, by the way, the only thing you've done is spoken on the first interview. Everything else is either done by a virtual assistant
or the manager's been on the first interview. I could even wait.
Even, yeah, if you get the manager on the first one, yeah, that's what I'm saying, yeah, right? Cool, interview 2, review the problem, did they do a good job? They did a good job, cool. End of interview 2, what I would do is this.
You want a new page?
Yeah.
Top right.
What do I do?
Top right.
Cool. End of interview 2, I would do a few things. I would send them a proposal. I'm assuming everybody you work with is 1099 contractor. Well, technically they're international.
Well, yeah, they're international, yes. In the United States, they're not, though. I'm curious on that.
All right.
Because I feel like it's such a fine line.
It is such a fine line. I am not a financial advisor.
Or a tax person.
Or a tax person, so I can't give you financial advice or tax advice. And you're right. It is definitely walking a fine line because technically you are robbing the government of their payroll taxes. I would do my research as far as what constitutes a W-2 employee, 1099 contractor.
Yep, there's a list. Yeah.
There's a list, and there's a lot of things you'd see. Like, I don't tell my employees when to work, right? And I don't tell them they can't have other jobs. So this is being recorded, and you make the decisions on your own. We'll talk later, but anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
So send them a proposal, W-2 or 1099, you make a decision. But send them a proposal, end of that interview, on that interview, because now, once again, we're trying to make it so like, I always want to put the ball in their court, not in my court. I don't want to manage shit. Got it. So end of interview, hey, Travis, you're an awesome job, man. We'd love to work with you. So this is what next steps are going to be. Same thing on a sales call. I'm going to send you a proposal right now. It's going to walk you through everything we talked about this call. Compensation, what your requirements are, what would happen if we terminated this contract, et cetera, et cetera. Once you sign that proposal, you are going to get an email. The email is going to be an onboarding form for you to get on board inside this company. Fill that out. As soon as you fill that onboarding form out, you're going to get access to a few things. Number 1, you're going to get an instant invite to our Slack channel where you're going to be, you'll be there with the rest of our team. Number 2, you're going to get an email sent with our onboarding document or our onboarding Bible, our ramping Bible. Go through that step by step. It's going to have every video, every next thing you do all inside of there.
Just before they're even starting.
Exactly. Like, and look, I know, Travis, we've had a lot the past few days. If I had to tell you one thing, just get access to that document, because that will take you through step by step every single thing you need to do in this entire process, right? And they're like, okay, cool. And, all right, Travis, once again, what's the one thing you need to do? Get access to that document. Awesome. Check your email for it once you sign it, right? So proposal, onboarding email, onboarding doc. Now, let me show you on my phone, which is right here if I have some service, which I do, what our onboarding doc looks like, just to give you an idea.
Yeah, I'd love to see this.
Now, when people were, and COVID happened, and people were fucking around, and they were watching Tiger King, I literally sat down for months and I created a 45-page document to onboard new team members inside of our company. One of the best uses of my time I've ever done.
Really?
Let's type in onboard. What pops up? Here we go. So this is the sales and setter one. Loading document. Alright, it's loading. But what you're pretty much going to do is literally say, and you can put Loom videos inside of here. Oh, cool. Perfect. That's a Loom video.
You created this.
I created this.
Okay.
Introduction, 42 minutes. That's a Loom video of me walking through welcome. And what I'm doing is really walking through every one of these things in that introduction video. Then they'll get down to this is first, I'll slow down. First order of business, who are we, why are we special? So I'm covering all of that on this
onboarding. These bullet points are good.
Yeah, so
overviews here.
Our mission, values. So this is teleology or goals.
What's that?
So goals, so you're a commission-based sales rep, 15% for deals closed from an inbound lead, 20% from end-to-end. So I'm just showing them, just like I onboarded a customer, this is everything you expect. How do you grow? How do you make more money? How much are you going to get paid? When do you get paid? What are the values?
20% end-to-end meaning?
And meaning that they
found and sourced the lead, basically.
100%. Right? What is commission-based sales? Then we talk about what they need to do first order of business here. So like, we ask them all to leave a 5-star review on us on Google My Business. You know, we talk about installing Grammarly. We talk about like how to sleep. I want them to be assassins. This is specifically for salespeople. I doubt your shit's gonna be as in depth as this. Okay? How to use this program, and then we go into who are we, why are we special, and then if you scroll down here, you'll see resources to go through before starting, welcome video. Then I teach them like, here are access to different assets that we have. Here's how you send emails, accepting email invites, creating multiple email accounts, etc., etc. So imagine if when you got them onboarded, they just followed step by step a process that they literally did, and it required no work on your end, no work on your SEO person's end. And then what you do is this. There's a thing in here, support, how to get help and support. What you do is on that onboarding document, have an automation that fires that they get access to a Slack channel, and then we keep all of our new hires in one Slack channel with our sales team leader and chief operating officer. And so he just answers any questions that they have. And then you can have a meeting every morning, a meeting every week. But this is going to do 90% of your ramping, okay, for you. With me so far?
Yeah, I like this. The support,
everything's
resources.
Inside of here.
Okay.
Who you are, like what you're doing on all these fucking calls and all these videos, you're going to make it so step by step in this little thing. Okay. And I just tell people, start at the top and go down. Right, so this is 43 pages. You don't need to have yours 43 pages.
Sure.
But you get the idea.
Do you have a template of the bullet points on these or no?
No, but I can send you one if you remind me. I can send you, I'll just copy and paste like 20% of this so you can get an idea of how
Sounds
it works.
good.
Okay? Just remind me of that later.
Yeah, I will.
Okay.